Hello, Zain. Welcome. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. Great to be here, Pius, and excited to talk more about pricing and subscriptions here.
Nice. Before we start, I can't lie that we have met before already, just at a different continent and different time. So I'm super happy that you're here. We used to be colleagues at Canva. We're leaders in the PM leaders, I think, or leaders or something. So yeah, I really appreciate you took the time and thank you for that. When was it the last time we met in person? Do you remember that? And where was it?
Yeah, we were actually in Bondi icebergs, and yeah, we were overlooking the ocean there. And this was, I think, probably around June timeframe, last June.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good times back then, right? Also back then it was winter there and cold, and now it is warm. And you are now in Canada, and I'm in Austria, and now it's twice winter for us.
yeah, totally.
Bad for the mood, good for the skin, I guess. Yeah, nice. Okay, yeah, let's get started. I mean, people are saying you're the pricing expert, and today's our very last episode of this season. So it's going to be the 20th interview of Subscribed. So I'm super pumped to have you here and speak about SaaS and software and pricing. You're the pricing expert. So yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your background and why did you join this session today? I mean, you can do a lot of things with your time. So what moved you to come?
Yeah, I'm always up for talking about subscriptions and pricing for the last like 4 years. And even now, I'm quite involved in like the whole subscriptions growth space. As you know, at Canva, previously I was leading subscriptions and was quite involved in the whole pricing side of things. And then also I'm still like, pretty involved in the industry and advising a number of companies on their pricing strategies, as well as also just subscription growth in general. So I'm always up for kind of talking about subscriptions, and it's also great to connect with you again. And just,
Likewise.
yeah.
So what's your favorite, I guess, subscription on a personal level? I know we haven't prepared that, but on a personal level, what do you subscribe to that you really enjoy, and what are you least satisfied with that you still subscribe to?
Yeah, a personal subscription that I have is ClassPass, actually. So, travel quite a bit and I like to kind of try out different workout classes and gyms around the world. And I actually really enjoy having that, so I can kind of jump into different gyms in different cities and try different passes. Also, I think they've done a pretty interesting job with their pricing model. So you have like kind of the different tiers of pricing, and then you get a certain amount of credits with those. And then if you want to top up and add more credits, you can do that as well. I think that's a pretty smart strategy. It kind of combines the regular subscription pricing and then also adds in kind of that usage based model as well, which I think is pretty smart. I know they've gotten some scrutiny in the past on like, different, like the way they've experimented on pricing, but I think I actually really enjoy that, especially, as I'm traveling, going around different cities and wanting to try different gyms. It's really helpful. I use ClassPass pretty heavily in Sydney and then also back in Toronto. And then whenever I'm in like New York or other cities, I'm constantly trying out
Bali.
different classes. Yeah, Bali
Bali.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big ClassPass fan. I used it everywhere in the world. Fortunately, it just doesn't exist in Vienna, and it makes me very sad. I mean, it does exist, but I think there are like 3 studios, and I'm very sad about that. But yeah, that's a different story. At least I can use it in Berlin.
Yeah.
And so I do love ClassPass. And what's your subscription that maybe you're not the biggest friend with? Let's say it like that.
Yeah, the one that kind of hurts the most. I find like a Shopify store, I'm actually not the most like fan of that. I find it's a little bit, the pricing is pricey, but also you're kind of locked in, right? If you have your store there's like, it's much harder to migrate, which is also smart for them. And then I think they also take a certain amount of revenue from each transaction as well, which also hurts as well. But they've made it kind of like a kind of need, right? Once you're
When
hosting
you
there.
used to work for Shopify, you must love it if they make more money. No?
Yeah, I used to work there pre-IPO as well. Yeah, I guess like it's at
Do
the
you know
same
the
time.
founder? Do you know the founder? Do you hang out with him?
I don't hang out with the founder anymore.
Okay,
Like I
fair enough.
remember seeing him in the office and stuff back in the day. But yeah, I find that one kind of hurts a little bit sometimes. But at the same time, having Shopify stock, it's not that bad. Yeah. Other than that, I think, yeah, I would say that's the only one that kind of comes to mind sometimes, just because of the whole transaction fees.
Do you have a Shopify store yourself?
Yeah, I have a Shopify store. I host like kind of like my Hewwi brand on the Shopify store actually.
Yeah, definitely send it afterwards so you can break even or beyond, make a big profit. You should share that. I mean, I feel like introductions are over to you. Like you worked at Shopify, you worked at Canva. What else did you do in your life? And what brought you to this day today where you are?
Yeah, so yeah, similar to you, just kind of had a bit of a product career working in different companies. I was fortunate to also have a lot of global roles. So got to, experience living in different cultures and different countries. So yeah, I was at Shopify early and then also joined, I was at Emirates Airlines and got a chance to build Emirates.com in Dubai, and then later joined Four Seasons, built their booking engine, and then ended up with the Canva opportunity, which kind of took me to Australia, and that was an amazing experience. Getting to meet some really cool people like yourself and others, and just getting to live that Sydney lifestyle for a bit. And I'm back in Canada.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I'm Pi, and I used to work for Canva and was some product lead there doing growth stuff. Before that, I worked for Facebook. Back then, it wasn't called Matter, and San Francisco, and Dublin. And there I was working on growth for long tail businesses and advertisers, but they're like millions, so there are like so many. And I was hired at Canva to become the first product growth hire on organic stuff, on presentations, and that's what I did. So I'm like the product growth person, and then I became proper product growth manager, which was product manager, which I was very happy about because product growth is kind of this thing that you do and then it's done after a while and you actually have to move to a new product or you have some ownership, I guess, in the surface area you own. So that was pretty cool for me. So I was creating the main landing page of Canva and did huge scale experiments on logged out experience and stuff and worked team from 3 to 20 or so people, and then we're like 3 teams at some point. But then I got tired of it, and now I'm working on one startup, which I'm very happy about too. But I'm also very happy about the task, but that's a different story. So to me, I really love that you and we share in common the hustle. I really think so. Like, I think when I think about Zain, I think about doing stuff, hustling, and I think you even had your own app studio at some point. You didn't mention that, but I think what I really appreciate in people is when they're willing to feel pain. And not everyone wants that. I mean, corporate pain is also pain, I guess. But I think just really taking a big risk on having maybe nothing and not an income. And not a lot of people do that in tech or big tech because it pays very well. Do you think this is like a general trend before we dive into subscription? Do you think people are generally not as much doing entrepreneurial things when they go in tech, or did it change? Or I have a perspective, but I'm curious to hear yours.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as you mentioned, I kind of had an app studio right out of school, and then I was building software. And for me, getting into tech was almost like just for education. So learning the craft, learning how to build products at scale. So I kind of looked at it as school. It was like even the Canva thing for the last 4 years, it kind of felt like a degree in growth. And like the end goal was always to kind of go back and do my own thing. So I guess depends on like how you plan your career. But I would say like more and more people are now forced to be entrepreneurial. And I think that's going to be the future. And yeah,
too many PMs in the world for too little products.
Yeah, exactly. I think, product career, I always looked at it as like, again, just education. It can't be something that you can be doing forever. And I think like it's similar to like, I look at it as, a career quarterback, right? So like, you can only play the game for a certain amount of years, and then afterwards you have to do something else. And that's the way I looked at it, and it was inspiring to be.
But you can become like the product manager of product managers, right? So what's stopping people from doing that?
Yeah, you find, that's we've seen both. Like, well, what's that looks like, and some people aspire to kind of pursue that path, and other people don't. I guess, it depends on your personality, I think, like, and your own kind of ambitions, right? So for some people, it's nice to be able to, they can, some people are really good at that in that environment, and they like, there's challenges and growth opportunities there, and other people are kind of built for something else. So I think you just gotta learn more about yourself, and over time,
I think you're good in it. I know you, so I think you're good in it. I think there are, from my perspective, it's tech has been the kind of the 2014 when I joined Facebook. It was a little bit this cool but still niche thing, at least in Europe. Like everyone wanted to go into investment banking, so that was kind of the cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did investment banking as well, but I realized it's kind of boring, and I think my free spirit mindset was just what's going on there? Like everyone is working from 8 to midnight unconditionally, which I don't mind, by the way. I don't mind working long, but really working on pretty dumb tasks. And I was like, hey, do you want that? So on the third day of the internship, or second day, I called my good friend Susanne, and she worked at JP Morgan. And I was like, what's going on there? Should I quit? It's like, no, don't worry. It's normal. You have to go through. And they're like, okay, fine. So I did it. But I realized it doesn't suit me. So I went into tech, and I felt very welcome, particularly at Facebook, because Facebook had this hacker culture, and I got rejected, I think 10 times at Google, because I applied every year for so many years, and they just didn't like me. And I was so desperate to be liked by them. But then I got the job in Facebook really quick, because I think it was just a great fit at this time with my mindset. I was working as a cook. I was in a Middle Eastern Israeli restaurant. And then I was having a restaurant. I was doing many internships, had a business, and then I applied for Facebook, and they loved it. And I really thrived to a point when it became, again, a bit more corporate. I think my limit is big corporation, and my other limit is just not being at the top. Like if you're not at the top, it's not boring, but you don't really make important decisions. You're not really the CEO of anything. I did this psychological test, and I thought I just need to be on the top, make decisions, otherwise I get sad. I don't know why. And then if the companies get very big, it's really hard. And it happened to me at Facebook. It happened to me at Canva at some point, and I want to be honest with myself. But I'm a pretty good entrepreneur because the business is still alive. We're not profitable, and we have crazy big customers who want to work with us. So I don't want to tap myself on the shoulder what I'm doing right now, because I'm very happy where I am. So yeah, that's a different story. I guess anyone can do whatever they want, and they're gonna be successful if they try hard enough, like you and I and everyone else who listens to this. Let's speaking about SaaS pricing, because I work on Subscribe, and this is the last podcast of this series. And obviously I care about pricing too, and I care about people finding the best software. And it kind of goes hand in hand, right? So if all the software would be zero, it wouldn't matter what we pick. But what are the trends for B2B SaaS pricing that you see in the market right now?
Yeah, absolutely. The ironic thing about subscription businesses is that most companies spend countless hours just perfecting product features, or agonizing over marketing and communication, and then also just focusing a lot on new user acquisition. But the shortcut when it comes to pricing is that for every 1% improvement in acquisition, you can constantly if you just increase prices, right? So basically for every 1% in acquisition, you can, the bottom line can be, up to three, over a few percentages, right? So in terms of some of the trends that we've seen, is over the last probably year, people are a lot more sensitive to prices, especially price increases.
Did it change? Was it not like that before?
Yeah, I would say over the last year, especially as we've seen changes in the economy, a lot of people are just a lot more just sensitive, and just making sure that
I've seen changes in my economy for 3 years now, almost, or 1.5 years now. What about you?
Just a year? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And I've just been more mindful of the things that I'm subscribing to, and kind of unsubscribing to, right? And then it just kind of forces companies to justify their features, and all the support, and kind of the new product features that are coming to the product, right? And then also like some of the trends are more towards like value-based pricing and then usage-based pricing as well, right? More and more companies are shifting towards that. Some of the things that we've seen, but yeah, I would say those are kind of some of the top trends that we've.
Yeah. I remember initially Subscribe focuses on pricing, comparison, subscription management. It didn't really work at all. But I learned a lot. So in 2023, prices just increased across the board. I don't know 2024 numbers. I assume 2023, no one really could do anything about it. It just happened really quick. It was inflation adjusted. Prices went up everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think 2024 was probably the year where companies felt it more, but I'm not sure. Do you have any insights into that? If software companies actually feel it, if competition is intensifying, people are more churning, actually price sensitive now? Like, what is it that you see and learn in the market right now?
Yeah, in 2024, a lot of companies did price increases, right? You saw it was common across like popular streaming platforms, as well as like, subscriptions across the board, just due to like inflation and in some cases currency fluctuations. And I felt like also consumers were a lot more sensitive to those prices. And yeah, I think price increases are not easy, right? Like you have to make sure that you get the right messaging in place, and you're also just mindful of like the affordability element of like different market. Yeah, I would say, in 2024, a lot of like, price increases as well as like backlash as well, right? Customers kind of going to social media and also kind of putting out the fact that the companies are also increasing their prices. And in some cases, it's hurted certain brands, but like in other cases, companies have kind of listened to those customers and not pursued certain price increases. I think there's some smart strategies to like do increases as well. A lot of companies have kind of gone to keeping their prices the same for their base subscriptions and then doing things like add-ons instead of increasing the base price, right? So like charging.
What is the top 3 tips you give customers to work with, or one thing they should all do? What is one thing they should all do with their pricing to increase revenue and profitability?
Yeah, I would say like first, just, make sure that you know your customers really well, right? Like typically a lot of companies, the way they do pricing, especially like smaller startups, they'll kind of do some sort of guessing, or they'll look at like some competitor offerings, or they'll just kind of do like some kind of a cost plus approach. What I recommend is like, the process for figuring out your pricing is a lot more involved. And there's like certain tools and frameworks that you can use, right? But it all starts with kind of just really first identifying your like target audience, really understanding the market, understanding like consumer behavior in those markets. And then just kind of like identify some of your levers, right? So like what will you charge for? And then just kind of understand like the different product features, right? And then I would kind of and then you can dive a lot more deeper into like just analyzing your consumers, right? So you could use the Van Westendorp's price sensitivity meter, or like maximum differentiation analysis, or like there's like the conjoint analysis. There's like
cool. Do you have references to that? That sounds interesting.
Yeah, so those are kind of like the popular frameworks that a lot of like these pricing companies use to come up, get a deeper understanding of like, hey, how, what customers are willing to pay, right? And then from there, like I recommend just like actual testing, so actual experimentation, right? Instead of just like full on increasing the prices.
Especially for long tail B2B products like Canva, I assume, right? For enterprise products, it might be different.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think like, I would say that would be my recommendation, is to like really kind of think more deeply about pricing, right? As you're especially scaling, right? And those are kind of, what I typically do with companies.
Oh, nice. So if you need help to make more money and profit, reach out to Zain. He will help you. It will take one day, and he will only take 50% of the revenue.
No.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, just
incremental revenue, which is hard to prove, but yeah, you can figure something out. That's amazing. I have very little idea about how to decide on pricing. I just had one conversation with how's it called, SaaS Group, with the head of product, and he spoke about pricing, and he said also something that you mentioned earlier, which was, hey, no one increases prices. Companies are always scared of increasing prices, but it always works. And that's one of their competitive advantages. And they have done a lot of pricing changes. And I think also what you mentioned, there are a lot of frameworks, but ultimately it's about changing it and feeling confident and being okay that some of the customers will churn, because most of the customers won't. And yeah, that's I think what part of their strategy of SaaS Group in the acquisitions. They look for opportunities and see if it could work. So it reminded me of that, plus everything else you mentioned around understanding the customer. That said, what are your predictions for the next 5 years or 3 years? Do you think prices will keep increasing or will they stay the same? Like what should SaaS companies and software companies do?
Yeah, I think like we're seeing more and more trends towards like value-based pricing, right? It's just kind of people will start focusing a lot more on like perceived value rather than like just arbitrary like hikes. And also, yeah, we're gonna see a lot more usage-based pricing models, as well as just a lot more like customization and personalization just with all the tools that are available now. I think like recently I looked at like Rocket Money, right? They did a pretty interesting job with like first understanding how much customers are willing to pay directly on their subscription page. So you could literally have like a toggle of, where they would ask users like, hey, how much do you want to pay for your subscription? And yeah, I'll see like a lot more companies doing that, because over time, keeping that retention solid is pretty key, and pricing plays a pretty important element on that. And yeah, I think that's going to be kind of the bigger trend. And I think a lot of companies will start focusing on doing add-ons as well, right? So companies are already doing
like LLM add-ons and AI add-ons, right? It's kind of a thing right now.
Yeah, exactly. So LLM add-ons, AI add-ons, instead of kind of, just increasing their prices over their base subscription. We're seeing a lot of that happening already.
But margins aren't good in that, right? Margins are kind of like lower than compared to classical SaaS. Isn't it like that?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the like LLM themselves. Yeah, like they're
True, it depends.
Yeah, like I would say it depends on like the specific, like how you position and the exact pricing. But yeah, over time, I think they're going to get better. The margins will get better, just as new tools are coming out. And yeah, I would say those are kind of some of the things that will.
So let's speak about AI. I'm throwing like curveball here. How with pricing of AI, LLMs, and chatbots, even the end user facing stuff, what is there on ChatGPT, Copilot, Grok, Mistral, I think, Anthropic, Claude. So with those ones and even their back-end solutions, like how do you see the pricing of this going to change? I mean, to me, I have to be honest, they're all kind of the same. They have different speed. I use ChatGPT because it looks nicest, it feels fastest right now, but I also use others. But what will happen to those AI companies in the next year or two in terms of pricing? Are they making a loss right now? I mean, I've heard they're all making huge losses. So do you think they will ever be able to make a profit, or what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, you probably saw like on Twitter as well, right? Like where OpenAI, they saw a lot more usage than they originally planned for. And yeah, we're seeing a bit of a loss. But I think over time, that's going to stop, right? As more and more companies are building these models, the consumers have more options. And I think the pricing becomes pretty interesting as well. So over time, I think Anthropic does a pretty interesting job of just kind of monitoring the usage and like having certain blocks, right? So that they're not like at a loss. So I would say we're going to see more and more of that. And then also just a lot more options for the consumers as free tools, right? So, and then I would say, yeah, like people will see a lot more kind of self-hosted options as well, like with, you probably saw with like the DeepSeek and some of the others that are now popping up. I think Mistral came out as well in Europe. That's like pretty decent, even with their free pricing. And I think a lot of folks are actually canceling their like OpenAI subscription as well.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen
we
that.
We love it. We'll never cancel OpenAI subscription in the team. We're like power users. OpenAI, if you listen to us, never increase the pricing because we're very happy with the pricing. If you do, I'm going to be very sad because it's already $30 a month. So yeah, and we have a team. But yeah, really, people canceling the OpenAI subscription. Are you kidding me? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, because there's just more alternatives available, right? You have like Grok, right? That's also pretty decent now. And I would say, yeah, there's just the amount of options that are available. Like people can do, similar type of, they can get similar value in other
But
products.
now you tell me everyone is canceling, so I'm worried they have to make my subscription more expensive because I'm already paying and I really love it. Kind of sucks.
Are you paying the $200 one?
Oh my God, no! No. We're still almost bootstrap startup. We have the team one because it's just nice giving everyone in the team access, and then they can use it. You pay for them rather than individual accounts. I actually don't know the benefits of the team one because you have to go to enterprise eventually anyhow, which is much more expensive. So we're just using it for some reason, and yeah, it's good. I guess control over the users also.
Yeah. Also, I guess you just have like so much context already built into OpenAI, right? You don't want to have to like.
No, not with
Which,
this tier, unfortunately, but I don't want anyone in my company know the context I have because my brain is pretty going in all sorts of directions. So I don't want anyone to be close to that. It's not healthy.
yeah,
No,
totally.
I'm just kidding. I don't care. One thing, like speaking about the AI, one thing I found really cool because you do a lot of stuff with content creation is Google Notes book. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I think you actually showed me originally. Yeah.
You see, so tell me about something else I didn't show you. I feel not bad. I feel like I'm pushing some things on you. Do you use any cool tool in AI that? Yeah, let's speak about Google Notebook. It's crazy. You can upload all this context and then get amazing stuff out of it. Like I just find it fascinating. This is so great, including references and sources and understanding contracts. Never mind. Have you used it?
Yeah, I haven't been using it as heavily as you, but I need to get back into it. I remember like you shared some docs and like, you kind of showed me a bit, and
I don't remember that. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was a bit like, I think maybe, I think a while back. So,
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's, I haven't been using it that much, but I'm excited to kind of dive deep into it and check it out.
Interesting pricing. People are canceling the prices. But yeah, you're right. And we'll figure out how to price it and make a profit eventually. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, it sounds like nobody knows what's going to happen with pricing, particularly. People are more price sensitive. So obviously, it's trying to keep the revenues or increase it not as much. What about cost of acquisition? Is it more expensive to acquire customers or less now because there's no, like, what's happening there with acquisition for subscription SaaS companies from your perspective?
Yeah, over the last year, the cost of acquisition has definitely gone up, right?
Seriously? What's the reason for that?
I think it's just like the tools have just become more and more expensive. Companies have raised prices, more and more competition. It depends on the industry.
Where's the competition coming from? That's one thing I don't understand. Everyone was saying AI is going to replace software, eat software. I'm not really seeing it. But yeah, there's more competition because there's more similar SaaS companies out there. But what makes you say there's more competition? Because I don't really understand it because I just don't understand it really, but everyone is saying it. So what makes you say that and think that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the industry, but obviously, in certain spaces, in the design tools space, for example, there's just a lot more tools that are available.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So more and more more and more alternatives are available for customers.
But Canva is the best tool. Let's just say that Canva is the best tool. Everyone should use Canva, no other tool.
Yeah, for sure.
Not Adobe, not anything else, just Canva.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say, yeah, like depends on the industry, even within the, kind of the AI tools that are available. You have, originally they were just kind of like ChatGPT, but then like you have like so many more available now, Mistral, Grok, and the ones that you all listed, and Anthropic.
We create around, our sub growth business, which is where we help companies to grow like Subscribe, because we have like big growth, massive growth in the SEO space. Thankfully, it's not going anywhere because all the AI tools are accessing us and then basically they're crawling us and we are becoming the source for their models. And thankfully, it doesn't have an impact. It's the opposite. If anything, it's more growth for us, not just from Google. But what I'm trying to say is we work now with many companies and we create around, I would say, 700 content pieces a week. Content pieces, I mean, blog, image, LinkedIn, but very often images. And our go-to tools are actually Canva and actually Photostock images, because no one likes to see AI images anymore. I think it was like this phase that was cool for 3 months or so. Everyone posted it on LinkedIn. I did. I had this challenge posting every single day for 9 months. I almost went insane, but I did it. And my content was really bad and not getting any better, but I had a lot of learnings. So anyhow, there was this phase where people did it and no one appreciates it. No one wants to see it. Maybe it's going to get impressions or something like that, but I don't think our customers want that. I don't think end users want that. And so we use real images, and it's just so much better. This generated stuff right now, even on an image level, doesn't feel good. We did a video with and also a rap song that was kind of funny, but it's more gimmicky. Even the songs and music we pick actually composed music, because the automated one is never like, there's like sono, so it's awesome. Like, I love it, but the quality is not good enough to actually shoot it out. So we paid for the subscription, we used it, and then we paid a license. Even we paid for the license because we wanted something more unique, and it was worth it. So I guess this generative content, I don't know where it lives right now in the world, but it hasn't been like a real silver bullet, at least in our work with our customers. So even in advertising, I hear a lot of people saying that. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? I mean, background removal is good and certain features, but I think relying solely on the AI for creating stuff hasn't really happened. Challenge me on that, or do you share a view, or I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, it depends how you use it. I think, consumers are, they have a pretty good eye now, like in terms of like what's generated through AI, but it is getting like really, really good over time. I think eventually it's going to get to a point where you won't be able to tell the difference. And I'm pretty excited about like seeing, where we can go with it, right? And obviously from a cost perspective, it's going to be massive saving for certain industries, especially like, the film industry. I'm excited to see some of those, the movies being created purely through AI. But yeah, I think over time we're going to get better. And at the same time, like for like marketing purposes, some companies you can tell like, all their assets are like completely AI generated versus, the ones that aren't. But I think, we're going to find more and more companies doing a bit of a hybrid approach of using a bit of both. I think, it's, again, it's just a matter of time where we're just going to see it get better and better.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we shifted a little bit our conversations. It wasn't really about pricing, but it started with many people are canceling their AI chatbot subscription. I can see that now. I think a lot of my friends don't use it. They used it in the beginning, and certain features are blocked.
Yeah,
I can see that now.
The free versions are just getting better and better, right? Like it's just also some. Yeah, I feel like people. I think they're just getting a lot more value out of the free versions, which
So how will they monetize?
Yeah, I think like some of the kind of the deeper integrations that you have within like ChatGPT, where they're offering kind of those assistants that can completely do. I don't know if you've seen the $200 tier where it completes like a lot of tasks for you, like shopping or kind of certain admin tasks. So those are still like premium features. I think eventually they're also going to become cheaper and cheaper for consumers. I think also, I think in the form of like companies will just need to get more and more creative. They'll need to do like more real-time price adjustments in terms of like what consumers are willing to pay for and not pay for. And I think like we'll just see even a lot of these companies also using more and more of like a dynamic pricing model.
What is dynamic pricing? What does it mean?
Yeah, so just adjusting pricing based off of like usage, right? Similar to like how the travel industry does pricing. You buy certain tickets at a certain price or certain rates for booking things. So on these type of products, we're also going to see more companies charging for certain things that are more complex, that cost a lot more, and other things that are free. So I think that can be that's going to be pretty interesting to see if these companies adopt. It's really worked well for like the travel space. So I think let's see what happens in the software space.
Love it. Well, we are almost at the end of the hard facts. So I have one more question, which I ask everyone. What would you tell young Zain when he is about to start his entrepreneurial journey? What would you tell him? What advice would you give yourself? like 10 years younger?
Wow, what a question. Yeah, I would say like build a community, like don't try to do it alone. I think,
Did you try it alone?
yeah, I originally kind of tried it alone. And then I think like being around the right people makes a massive difference. So, spending time in certain cities or spaces and doing with a group of people, is just going to be better, and you're going to get more stuff done. And just, yeah, I would say spending more time with people, right, that are also building. I think that makes a huge difference, especially as you're kind of branching out from like the corporate world where your friends are still doing those jobs and you're
Percent. That's so true. That's so true. I'm spending so much time in the co-working space. And this is awesome. I'm trying to go to the events. Depends on my energy level because I have also podcasts and other commitments. But 100%, that's so true. That's love it. And what advice would you give founders right now? Founders creating SaaS companies?
Yeah, I would say, founders creating SaaS companies. So really kind of looking into retention as kind of the new acquisition. And then some of the things that we talked about when it comes to pricing. So in the beginning, it's fine to kind of just, put certain prices out there, but then over time, getting more and more deeper into looking at your pricing strategy and also looking at certain markets as well. And as you're scaling globally, really trying to understand consumer behavior in those markets and adjusting prices on a regular basis or at a certain cadence to improve your lifetime value and using that as like a lever for growth.
Yeah. Well, so thank you for your time, Zain. This was a very informative and interesting podcast. To conclude our second season, I'm very proud of everything you do and are doing, and moving from Sydney to Toronto. I'm also proud of myself actually moving. But yeah, I mean, if you're out there, connect to Zain and speak with him about pricing. Is there anything you want to share with the audience about yourself before we're heading off? Anything you want to tell them about your own offering? Just kind of a pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk to any company about subscriptions or pricing. So you feel free to kind of connect with me on LinkedIn. I also kind of share different case studies on different pricing models and like how companies are doing pricing on subsgrowth.com. So you can go there, and it has a bunch more resources when it comes to how to do acquisition, retention, monetization, going global, and other things around subscriptions. So feel free to check that out. And yeah, feel free to reach out if I can help with anything.
Amazing. Thank you so much.